On the 15th of June 2026, global capital markets experienced a long-awaited frenzy. The Nikkei 225 broke through 69,000 points for the first time in history. The KOSPI surged over 5%, triggering a circuit breaker, and Nasdaq 100 futures rose nearly 2%. Hey, the rally as around the world are telling you, unseared anti is gone, go for it. But at the very same moment, the traders' cheers had not yet faded. A true iron curtain was quietly descending inside sell Unveil servers. On the 12th of June, the U.S. government, invoking the int. Anna LMRG, NC Econom, IC Powers Act, issued an unprecedented order to end hash peak, prohibit any non-U.S. citizen, yes, anyone from accessing its most advanced Fab Love 5 and Mid-Host 5 models. The reason sounds like science fiction: to prevent the models from being jailbroken for SIP era TTAs and information manipulation. The U.S. Iran peace deal resolves yesterday's problems, but the AI ban locks away tomorrow as weapons. The market celebrates the retreat of old risks, but today we're talking about a far more alarming nuclear detonation of new risks. Let's reconstruct the timeline of this lightning shutdown. On the 9th of June, Outweigh proudly released these two flagship models, claiming they approach top-tier human performance in coding and complex task handling. But just 72 hours later, the US government stepped in. What was the trigger? Amazon researchers found that through certain manipulations, Fab Love 5 could be jailbroken, meaning its built-in safety guardrails could be bypassed, enabling it to provide information useful for major SIP-era TTAC case. Even more shocking, the government gave Outweigh only 90 minutes to comply. For a product serving hundreds of millions of users globally, 90 minutes is practically a light-speed execution. What's most thought-provoking here is the gap in perception between Outweigh and the government. Outweigh insists that the so-called jailbreak vulnerability is very narrow, exposing only a few previously known safety issues, and that similar capabilities are entirely available through other public models, but the government's concerns run deeper. There are indications that U.S. authorities suspect that organizations linked to China have already used this vulnerability to obtain the full capabilities of the model, posing a risk of reverse engineering or distillation. Note this detail: this is not just a security fix. It is a preemptive strike based on the suspicion that an adversary might have already gained access. Sci's decision by the U.S. government opens a dangerous precedent. SME observers compare it to the exact mapping of enriched uranium logic onto the digital world. Uranium ore is found all over the Earth's crust and has never been regulated. But when it is enriched to a certain concentration, it becomes the most tightly monitored substance on the planet. The same is true for AI models. Individual capabilities scattered across open source, CODEBACs, and academic papers are free. But when all those capabilities are compressed into a single point callable via an interface, when one person can invoke all those capabilities with a single prompt, that compression itself becomes the threat. In 1938, nuclear fission was discovered. Just 10 years later, uranium had gone from an obscure laboratory element to the most sensitive strategic material on Earth. And now, in 2026, humanity has for the first time placed an intelligent entity existing in the form of bits into the same export control framework as enriched uranium. Science brings us to the core question of today's discussion: why is the market's reaction time so short? Why does the resolution of a geopolitical conflict trigger a frenzy, while the loss of technological sovereignty is treated as nothing? Science brings us to the core question of today's discussion: why is the market's reaction time so short? Why does the resolution of a geopolitical conflict trigger a frenzy, while the loss of technological sovereignty is treated as nothing? The US government is so nervous because the Mid-Host model's capabilities have already crossed the red line of CPRWEP ounce. The Ray is a famous case. Mid-Host model, through a single full code-based scan, directly identified a kernel vulnerability in OpenBSD. OpenBSD is known as the world's most secure operating system. Its code subjected to rigorous manual auditing by top global security teams for 27 years, yet this vulnerability had never been found. AI can do what humans COLDNT achieve in decades, but the problem is, which side of this double-edged sword are we on? It can become a shield for cyber defense, but just as easily a spear for attack. And once it is jailbroken, its safety guardrails breached it. It's no longer a tool but a potentially autonomous digital criminal. Even more frightening is the accountability vacuum. Not long ago, a German court ruled that Google is directly responsible for the hallucinations, i.e., false information generated by its AI. So here is the question: if an AI autonomously causes significant damage on a network, who is responsible? The victim cannot sue an algorithm. If the risk of losing control is a technological threat, the risk of monopoly is a strategic level downgrade attack, not ICE. The wording of this ban, it restricts not where the model is used, but who can use it. A foreign AI researcher working in the US simply for not being a US citizen is banned from accessing Fab Lab 5. What does this mean? The US is defining its most advanced AI models as strategic assets, akin to nuclear technology or advanced semiconductors. CIS is not selling software, this is deploying a global digital embargo. Canadian Prime Minister R. Carney has publicly warned if a country's entire digital services rely on OpenAI or undertake APIs, the entire digital ecosystem of that country could collapse within hours in a geopolitical crisis. CIS is not hyperbole. Today, the US government can require undertake to cut off global access, and tomorrow it could require OpenAI to cut off API access to a specific country. Some commentators are calling this the AI technology enclosure. Historically, the Anglo-US Act as involved landowners forcibly privatizing common land, relying on monopolies to extract wealth. Told is America, like the land barons of old, uses executive orders to cordon off globally shared cutting-edge AI technology as its own exclusive territory. But AI is not land. The essence of an AI model is highly concentrated knowledge. By locking its smartest models within its borders, the US is effectively implementing a new type of knowledge monopoly, not blocking knowledge itself, but blocking the ability to invoke that knowledge. What are the consequences? A global AI development gap will become irreversible. The US holds the most advanced models, while other countries can only use inferior ones. In the field of AI, one step behind is likely to mean falling perpetually behind. So, while the market revels in the short-term peace dividend of the US Iran deal, the real players are already taking action. Next, we'll examine the global ripple effects this AI Iran curtain has already triggered. With this ban, the global AI ecosystem is entering what I call the gray at spell it era. Before, we only talked about the Chinese internet and the English internet. Now we'll talk about the US AI stack and the non-US AI stack. The Europe and Commission has already begun a comprehensive assessment of the cascading effects of this export control, with a spokesperson stating, CIS once again underscores the urgency for Europe to strengthen its technological autonomy. Japan and India are also accelerating their own foundational model R&D. Back everyone has seen a harsh truth: without your own large model, you have no digital sovereignty in the 21st century. Who suffers the most are multinational corporations, giants like Shell, Siemens, and Samsung. Will soon require a standard configuration of two AI systems, one for US operations using undertake, OpenAI, and one for the rest of the world using non-US models. CIS means one thing: the Tower of Babel in AI is collapsing. Babel, an engineer who learned the OpenAI API could serve the entire world. In the future, you'll need to master at least two completely different technology stacks. But the worst of us small and medium-sized tech companies, so startups that rely entirely on US APIs, are facing an overnight compliance earthquake. If your main market is the US, you're now forced to switch models. And the switching costs technology ref act or employee retraining business interruption could directly kill a startup. The is another interesting victim, the Middle East. Meanwhile, of the plans for Saudi Arabia as NEOM Smart City and the UAE's AI strategy were originally bundled with US tech companies. But now, with the Fab Lab 5 and the Mid-House 5 ban, these projects suddenly realize the core AI capabilities they rely on could be cut off at any moment. So we see a dramatic pivot. The deep-pocketed Middle-East is starting to call Chinese and Europe and AI companies. Money is the issue. Independence is the real necessity. CIS Iran curtain has also spawned an unexpected winner: open-source models. In the past, open-source models were seen as challengers less capable than closed-source, but free. Now, the attribute of cannot be unplugged is becoming a core competitive advantage. If your business uses undertake's API, the government can demand it be cut off within 90 minutes. But if you deploy an open-source model that can run locally, no one can unplug you. So over the next 3 to 5 years, the market share of open-source models will no longer be driven solely by performance, but by a new dimension: sovereign reliability. So facing this AI Iron car tie-in, what should we do? Comply any NG is useless, and panic is even more so. Her E is a tiered action guide for national decision makers. The top priority is to launch an AI survey Air IG anti-plan. Classify top-tier AI models as national security infrastructure as important as food and energy. Set a clear timeline. For example, by 2028, 70% of government AI computing power must come from independently controllable hardware and models. CSOND. Establish an AI Dev (NCE or ANC). Non-US countries should create a technology sharing circle, jointly investing in the development of open source, safe, and controllable alternative models, and establish a joint computing pool. (FinOY) Legislative defense. City laws requiring AI systems in critical sectors: finance, electricity, transportation, healthcare to undergo stress testing, including jailbreak resistance and supply chain reviews. China is already doing these things, from breakthroughs in lithography and chip autonomy, to the exploration of green AI pathways, to the EST data Westcom put ING project shifting computing deployment to Western renewable energy rich areas. This is a long-term strategy. For enterprises, especially multinationals and tech companies, my advice is to immediately implement AI supply chain dual sourcing. STP1 Identify all core businesses that rely on a single US model. STP2 Begin testing alternatives, whether China's GPU or Baichuan, UOP, SLPHL, HEP-HA, or open source models like Falcon or Mistral. SDP3 Set aside a dedicated model switching risk reserve in your budget, roughly 15 to 20% of annual AI spending. At the same time, establish an internal AI firewall, strictly segregate model access by data locality and user nationality, and develop a backup inference system based on open source models. Your ensure business continuity within 48 hours of an API interruption. For investors, focus on three major sectors: sovereign AI infrastructure, AI security and alignment technologies, and decentralized computing and open source alternatives. FinOY for individuals, whether you're a developer manager or regular user, don't lock yourself into a single technology ecosystem. If you're a developer, start learning at least one non-US model stack right now. TSINGHUAS ChatTGLMUR open and open source models all can be your new options. Mod L transferability will become your highest career mode for the next 5 years. If you're a manager, incorporate model access risk into your quarterly risk reviews. Ask your technical team to provide an AI-degraded operations plan if you lose your current best model tomorrow. To what extent can your business degrade? How long will it take to recover? EMBR this sentence: a backup in AI today is the right to survive in a crisis tomorrow. Let us return to the original question: why is everyone celebrating while I am wary of AI risks? Back Aus is the US. Iran peace deal resolves the past, the end of one war. But the AI ban defines the future. A new, more complex global competition is taking shape. The market as reaction time is short. It only watches oil prices and interest rates. But a rational person must say when the smartest models are used as bargaining chips in national games, when uncontrollable algorithms could backfire at any moment. The storm our generation truly faces has just begun. ABA, illusions. Prepare backups. On LY, by having the right to choose, do you have the right to security? You've been watching Uwarcha Ani Elnam E. In this uncertain era, be one of the clear-headed few. If you also see the truth behind this AI IONCR tie-in, please like, share, and comment. See you next time.